Hello everyone, I am Sahana Ghosh and I have completed my graduation in political science from Banaras Hindu University. Welcome to my YouTube channel Political Science Study Hub. Here I am going to teach you BA first year syllabus, paper 1, Principles of Political Science. In its first topic, political science. So what is political science? Political science is study of the state, government, political institutions, political theory, political opinions, etc. Father of political science is Aristotle. He was a Greek philosopher, okay, Greek political thinker, Aristotle, and he is the father of political science. Political science consists of two words, as we can see. So political science is derived from the word politics. The politics is derived from a Greek word polis, which means city states. Okay. So political science is the scientific study of politics. Political science is actually a study of between the state and government. Okay, there are two type of definitions of political science: traditional and modern. Traditional political science is studies as a as a study of state, as study of government, and as study of state and government both. So first we can see as study of state. These are the political thinkers who have described political science as a study of state. According to them, political science is connected with the state, and without state, political science cannot be studied. There are some of the political science thinkers who have told political science as a study of government. Like it deals with the government, how is government work, and how a state is being ruled. Okay. And third is the study of both of the state and government. According to them, state and government are interconnected. Government works for the state only, and state is there, so there is the government. Okay. Then there are modern definitions of political science. According to Easton, Laswell, and Dahl, political science is a study of authoritative allocations of values for a society. Laswell says it is a study of shaping and sharing of power. It is an pattern of human relationship that involves to a significant extent power, rule, or authority. So these are the definitions according to some of the traditional thinkers and some of the modern thinkers, which you all have to study and remember and learn it, so you can write in your exams. It will be very beneficial for you. So actually you have to learn all this. Next we come to the nature of political science. Political science is not only a mere institution of governance but also a mechanism for achieving societal goals. To achieve a goal, political science is very important. How? Because political science only teaches us how a government should be, should it work, how should it work. So see how they are all are interconnected. It includes matter concerning allocations and transfer of power in decision making, the rules and governance system. Thus, political science is study of state in past, present, and future, of the political organization, political processes, and political functions of political institutions and political theories. See, it is connected. Past, present, future, all are interconnected. We see how the system was in past. We try to improve in the present, and what should be there in the future. All are interconnected. Then scope of political science. What is scope? The subject matter of political science. Political theory, political institutions, political parties, groups and public opinion, international relations. Next we come to first one, political theory. Okay. Political theory, what is? Political theory is a new perspective. Political theory is the study of political ideas and values like justice, power, and or democracy that we use to describe, understand, and assess political practices and institution. It is mainly focused on one individual theory or school of political thinking, such as Marxist theory, liberal theory, etc. It is very important to study political theory. There are many political thinkers who have given their own political theories. We will study about it in later classes. The second one is political institutions like constitution. We know what is constitution. It is a type of rule book. It says how a country should be ruled, what are the laws, and if you violate any law, what is the punishment. Constitution only works. I am saying on the basis of Indian government constitution. Okay, our constitution was formed in 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. It is very important to everyone should remember this. It was finally being formed in 26 November 1950. 1949 Constitution was formed, but it came into force in 26 Jan 1950. These all dates should be remembered by everyone, so that's why I'm saying this all. Next is national government. Government is divided in three forms: national, regional and local, like the central government, state government and local government. Next, there are political parties, groups and public opinion. We know political parties are very important, both in the ruling one and the opposition. Both are very important party. Ruling plays important role and opposition also. I am asking one question: what is the how many seats should the opposition party should have to come in the opposition? Okay, political parties are important because there is in a ruling one, like we have BJP, and opposition many parties are there. So parties are actually a group who have one ideology, who follows one ideology. Through that only it rules the state or country. It plays very important role in the conduct of the government. Groups and associations, many groups are there who have their wishes, like NGOs or pressure groups, which from their groups they indirectly or directly says what demands, what they want from the government or the government's system. Okay. Regional and local government, which I told, there are three forms of government. Local government, like Panchayati Raj system, which came in the 73rd Amendment. These all are small point which I am mentioning while studying. So it will be beneficial for you all only. Political institutions, every country's political institutions have different features and very valuable for study. We will study about it in later classes. Third is citizen participation in government and administration. Citizens of course plays very important role in the government system, because सिटीजन नहीं होगा तो वोट कौन देगा, गवर्नमेंट कैसे फॉर्म होगा. सो सिटीजन इज plays very important role. Public opinion is also very important. A system is there, so there will be someone who will praise it and someone who will dislike it, and both is required for the development of the political system. International relations, we will study about it also in detail in later classes. One thing I will say, see, they reflect a developed stage of international relation and exercise decisive influence upon external behavior of member states. See, United Nations plays a very important role in promoting harmony among states and integrating their functional welfare activities. United Nations, WHOs, everybody knows these all institutions are very important, plays very important role in the political system in international relations. Now we come to the approaches to study political science. There are again two type of approaches, traditional and modern. So traditional approaches, first one is normative approach. It is mostly the study of politics or analysis of state or the function of the state to view in the light of what ought to be rather than what they are. So these approaches say that we have to study the state in the form that what it should be, not what it is. Then the second one is philosophical approach. Philosophical approach is another traditional or classical approach. It attempts to find the truth of political incidents or event. It explores the objective of political writing or the purpose of political writer. Philosophical approach is mainly to study the political science to be traced in the writing of philosophical thinkers like Plato and Aristotle. It is mainly the study of the incident or event and then they are connected with the political scenario. Third one is historical approach. By its names only we know that historical events which have already taken place that are connected with the politics, that how the system was there in the past, how it has evolved, what are the positive or negative changes and all. See, there are two senses of a historical approach also. The process of arriving at the laws governing politics through an analysis of historical event, that is events of past as propounded by Hegel and Marx. See, what are the events that have been taken place, like first there used to be king, the monarchy system, how it has changed to the democracy. This is the historical approach. Okay, in the second place, historical approach stand for an attempt at understanding politics through an historical account of political thought. Through the thought, political thought. What is political thought? As we know, theory is concerned with the a particular political thinking, we can say Marxist. Now what is thought? Thought is the study of political theory, how it is originated and what effect it has done. Okay, so like history, if we go back to the historical time, if any thinking is there, how it has evolved, how it has originated, that a king should be ruled, how, what, who have told, and what effect it has done. Okay, next is institutional approach. By its name only we know that it is a study of political institution and structures like executive, legislature, judiciary, political parties, interest group, etc. How this group works and what effect does it had in the political system. Okay. Next we come to the modern approaches. First one is behavioral approach. According to modern empirical approach, the behavioral approach to study political science grab notable place. The founder or exponent of behavioral approach is David Easton. Behavioral approach is the political theory which is result of increasing attention given to behavior of ordinary man. Okay, behavior of ordinary man is studied in this political system, not moral, behavioral. So it is called empirical approach. What is the morality should is not studied over here. The behavior of a person in a political situation is studied here. David Easton has pointed out certain salient feature of behavioralism, which is known as foundations. I want everyone to say in which article David Easton has said about these 8 intellectual foundations, and we have to study this in sequence wise only. First is regularities, verification, techniques, quantification, values, systemization, pure science, and integration. Only 8 are there, and this is very important. It is asked many a time in question paper. Next is post-behavioral approach. Post-behavioral approach mainly focuses on relevance and behavioral approach is mainly about the knowledge. Okay, or they only gain knowledge. What be post behavioral approach, from the knowledge they also apply it in the present situation. See the differences now. Behavioral approach is search for pure knowledge and theory. As I have told, it is only search for knowledge, not about its study. Knowledge for knowledge sake, not interested in action. Micro level analysis in a very small unit decision making. It's value neutral, and it is not interested in social changes. Behavioral approach is search for applied knowledge. As in behavioral approach, it is only focuses on knowledge, not in its application. But in post behavioral approach is it searches for applied knowledge and practice relevance of knowledge to satisfy social needs for problem solving. And it studies big unit, interested in the choice of values, not value neutral, it chooses values, and interested in social change also. Third is Marxist approach, even by Karl Marx and Engels. Marxist approach is also known as class struggle approach because it seeks to study politics and society in terms of relation between the haves and the have-not, the rich and the poor, the owner and the worker, the master and the servants. Theory of social change. The seed of class struggle with generous change are found in economic infrastructure of society. At the dawn of human history, when men a state of primitive communism, those contradiction or conflicts of interest among classes did not exist. He has given two type of dialectic materialism. Once it is said in it that we need a material. In any time, do people need material, and then only conflict arises. The richer one or the who is powerful one may get it, the other one may not get it. So conflicts comes. Class struggle. The Marxist theory of classes and class struggle belong to the key problem of theory and political practice, strategy of tactics of the working classes. These all you have to learn it. So that's why I've given here. The labor theory of values argued that the value of a commodity is determined by the average amount of time needed to produce the commodity. Labor theory, that how much should money should a labor should get. If the t-shirt is time taken to make a t-shirt is where it is, t-shirt take half the time to make a hat, then the hat should be priced at 2 times the t-shirt. This is how he described the labor theory. Theory of surplus value. He said that capitalist mode of production involves exploitation of the working classes. According to Marx, labor is sole creator of value. Production, 3 elements are land, capital and organization. They all are sterile because they are capable of reproducing only when what is put in them. Therefore, they are no source of value. Labor is the only valuable element which produces value in society. Without labor, the society cannot be worked. So, labor are very important for a society. Marxist theory of revolution. Marxist theory of revolution is an integral part of dialectic materialism. According to the dialectic mode of analysis, development of thesis and antithesis take place slowly and gradually, but as a result of clash between two syntheses appeared. Revolution is indispensable midwife of social change. I mean, theory revolution is what? Thing. Then we have to make a change, and for that change to come, then comes the revolution. The productive forces inherent in a society develop completely before a changes take place, and the change itself will be sudden, as when ice turns into water or water turns into steam. Revolution takes place, then change will be a sudden change. In this sudden revolutionary change, the entire structure of society would be transformed until the new society in its turn is overturned and remolded. So revolution is the indispensable midwife of social change. For a change, revolution is of course required. In next class, I will teach you state, its element, nature, theories of origin of state, constitution and its classification, forms of government, organs of government. Thank you for this class. See you in next class.